You are listening to the Profitable Content Creator Podcast. This is the place where content creators come to learn how to create profitable content that positions themselves as an authority and grows their online businesses. Get ready to take your content to a whole new level with your host, Kristen Poborsky.
Welcome. I'm excited because today I am interviewing Molly Mandelberg. She is the person behind Wild Hearts Rise Up. And like me, she is a content creator. And in this episode, we are talking about the inner game of content. And I know it's something that I've talked about, especially with women. We get stuck in content creation and never create content because we've got stuff going on inside of us that's just stopping us, or we're overthinking the process. Anyways, you're going to want to tune in and listen to this episode because we're going to get into all of that and talk about the inner game of content creation and how to get out of blocks that are stopping you from creating content. All right. Well, Molly, I'm excited to have you here today. And we're talking about the inner game of content creation. So my guest today is Molly Mandelberg. I hope I said that right, of Wild Hearts Rise Up. And we're talking about the inner game of content creation. And I know it's something you and I've talked about, especially as women with our clients, with our students, that we can get stuck in content creation. So, and not create content because of that, even though we all know it isn't, and I know that you and I are on the same page here, that it's like an essential component that we're creating content for our businesses, and not just blog content, but content that can be used anywhere in your funnels, for podcast episodes, books, right? You've written a book. Yeah. I'm sure we'll get into all of that later on. But before we dive in, because we have some great questions and things that we're going to talk about today, I'd love it if you'd give the listeners here your story. Like, why do you do what you do? What do you do? And who do you do it for? So they can get a better sense of who you are and what you do.
Yeah. So I work mostly with coaches, healers, holistic practitioners, people who trade in wisdom and guidance. And I help them get out of their own way so that they can reach more people and make a bigger difference. Usually they're great at what they do. They know that they change lives, but they're often also not great at talking about what they do, or they have some resistance to marketing their work, or some resistance to the creative output of actually delivering their message so that their people, their soulmate clients, can really find them. So I help them craft their deep work into inspiring content and hot copy to tackle the technology required to overcome the inner blocks that often show up when we start doing that and getting visible, so that they can reach more people and make that difference they're here to make, while also making more money with less time spent working. So I'm big on systems. I'm big on creativity, and also helping people find their message and bring that forth so that, the right people find their way in. And Exactly. I've been doing that for 8 years. I've worked with hundreds of clients. And from the get-go, I was really just kind of obsessed with making content, with creating workshops, with building courses and programs. And after a while of kind of trying to find my niche, so to speak, I realized that I had a real capacity with the creative side of this kind of business model. And so I started letting my friends hire me to help them build out funnels and get systems in place for their businesses. And then it's just grown and grown from there. So I launch and run about 4 to 6 programs every year. I published 2 books last year. I host 2 podcasts. I can't stop making content for the life of me. And I do all that while running my 6-figure business from the road. I've been nomadic for 15 years. I've been running my business out of my van that I turned into a tiny home for about 5 years. I'm not in my van right now if you're watching us on YouTube, but I usually am living and traveling in a van while running my business. So I figured some things out about how to create stuff, how to systemize it so that you're not overwhelmed with how much work you have to do. And it can be fun. It can be fun to deliver your message and reach your people. It doesn't have to feel like a battle all the time.
No, I know. I feel like we're totally kindred souls because we both understand and know the value of creating content, and not just any content, the right content, right? And I think, there's so many things that get in the way of, especially women, right? For us to find our voice. And we're uncomfortable about, like you said, talking about what we do powerfully. So, and I know we might even get into that today, the psychology behind that, because there's so many societal things beyond that stop people from doing what they need to do so that their ideal clients can find them. And that is creating content, something everybody should be doing all the time, or batching it out and not doing it all the time. So let's talk about one of the things that I see, let's just dive right into this, is that a lot of people, when it comes to creating content, they get stuck in perfectionism and gridlock or mode, right? So we can get into that many times and that'll stop us. So when you want to do something right and good and perfect, but it stops you from doing what you should be doing and just getting it done. So Molly, why don't you share with the listeners some tips and tricks on how to get unstuck when we get in our own way for creating content?
Yeah, I will give you one big lens to view this through. So the part of us that stops, that says this isn't good enough, or, delete, this is crap. That part of your brain is actually what they call your left brain. I don't know if neuroscience has actually disproven that it's the left hemisphere of your actual physical brain or not. But for the sake of this metaphor idea, there's the left brain and the right brain. The left brain is the logical mind, the rational mind, the editor, the one saying, is it good enough or not? Can I share it or not? And the right side of your brain is the creative, poetic, romantic, and, energetic side of yourself. And the problem is, when we sit down to write a piece of content, is that the left brain wants to control it because it knows it's going to go out in the world. I'm making a piece of content, people are going to read it. It has to be good enough. So that editor part of your mind has turned on when oftentimes there's nothing there yet to be edited. So we need to let the left brain sit on the sidelines for a moment so that the right brain can have a turn first. There is nothing to edit until the right brain has its shot. So this is actually a writing, framework that I've taken from my mother is a prolific writer as well. She's been a screenwriter for, I think, 40 years, more than that. And she teaches this to her screenwriting students, which she used to teach at UCLA Film School. And that the right brain gets its turn first, that the right brain gets to do a draft, it gets to throw down, and then the left brain gets to come in. So the 4 magic words that are the tool that I'm giving you right now, the 4 magic words are, I'll fix it later. Yeah. If you can tell the mind that the left brain that's trying to come on and say, it's not good, delete, this isn't good enough, try harder, you're not doing it, you should just give up, you should just quit, you don't have anything to say anyway. Tell that left brain, I'll fix it later. And let the right brain just put all the bad and wrong ideas down that it can. And that will get you a draft. It will get you a brain dump. It will allow you to free up some of that energy. And it's very likely that the right brain is going to come up with at least something that's useful or beautiful or inspiring. And so first step is let the right brain go first. Then you can come in with the left brain and make it pretty and tighten it up and add punctuation or whatever you need to do. And there's one hack that I found with my clients that's really helpful. First off, try not to write content in a technology platform. Like, I'm cool with Google Docs. I'm cool with Word docs. It's even better to write it by hand sometimes. But as soon as you get into 2 reasons. As soon as you get into like your email autoresponder, or you're looking at the little box on social media, your left brain is online. Your left brain is trying to be there because it knows that you don't want to click the wrong button. So the left brain's already turned on just because you're in a technology platform, and it's trying to make sure you don't screw it up. So if you're stuck, get away from there. The second reason is it's very easy to accidentally delete something you've created if you're inside a platform like your autoresponder or social media. You can just click one off-screen area and suddenly everything you just wrote is gone. And that is A, so frustrating, and B, confirms the left brain that you're going to screw this up. And so it needs to be online, hyper-focused. So as much as possible, create in a blank space, create on paper, create in a blank document, and then copy and paste it over. So let the right brain drive first and try not to create in a technology platform. And those two things will allow the right brain to have a better shot at showing up.
Awesome. I know I kind of get into that mode too. So I've actually started using ChatGPT to write my content outlines. Now, you have to get the right prompts and things like that in there. And then I go back, tell that I'm having that same kind of back and forth conversation, because I used to get in there and then want to control what it's saying right away and judging, saying, oh, this is not right, it's doing this or that. But I use it more for a idea gathering section, and then I go and edit it. So, I find, well, whether or not I use Chat GPT or something else, I just get those ideas, like you said, down and then go back and edit. But whatever comes out is what comes out. I already know what
you're still probably giving your right brain a chance to say, okay, a robot made this. How am I going to spruce it? How am I going to make it more magical and powerful? And then the brain comes in again and says, okay, now tighten it up.
Yeah. And that's exactly right. Because one of the things as I've gotten in there is it's that prompt, what you're telling it to do. As a content creator, you need to go to that creative side to come up with a prompt that will get you the output that you want, that doesn't sound like everybody else.
Yeah.
So yeah, I get that. I love that. Yeah. I think that's a good hack to remember, is to, I have never tried that, like writing everything down on paper, because I'm a fast typer, but next time I get all backed up around it.
Yeah.
And I think
paper helps. There's something about having your body. I mean, typing is using your hands and your body too, but there's something about paper and pen that your left brain just isn't there for it.
Yeah. Do you find that batch creating content
Absolutely
also helps?
Hugely. Yeah. Batching is the way I do all things. If the hardest part about creativity is getting your butt in the seat. If you get your butt in the seat, stay seated for as long as possible. If I'm going to write an email for like nurture content for my email list, I am sitting there and writing 4 or 5 or 6 of them. I'm not sitting down to just write one, because the hardest part is getting to bother to do it. So once you've bothered, keep going.
That's right. I mean, I try to sit down. I don't think I've created content, I'm going to say, since January, but because I batch it and I do it in such a way that I can cut it up into multiple pieces of content, it really takes the pressure off. Yeah. So, and that's another thing to remember. People get stuck, is that's another hack. Just, do it, be done with it, beginning to end, and you're good to go. And sometimes not overthinking things.
And that will also light a fire under your butt to figure out how you're going to schedule things like that out. Like if you sit down and write a bunch of emails and you don't have your email list set up, now you have a beautiful reason to go and learn that piece of technology, because now you want to schedule things out so that you're set up and don't have to worry about it. Even if you don't schedule things out, you've now got a block of stuff that when it's like, okay, I want to post today. Well, let me just go copy and paste that post I wrote. That's so much easier than let me figure out what the hell I want to post today while I'm also busy with calls and doing all this stuff. I will say batching and scheduling content like that is one of the reasons why I can run a successful business while also traveling and gallivanting around the world.
Yeah. So I have a question then on your content creation. What is your major content form that you create in? Is it written? Is it video? What is that you use?
I'm a writer. I'm a writer to my core. So most of my stuff starts out as writing, whether it becomes video or it becomes something else. But I'm on all the platforms. So I make videos. I'm on TikTok. I make reels on Instagram. I have 2 podcasts. I have 2 books that I've published. I have a blog. Personally, I do all the different platforms, but often I'm repurposing something onto multiple different platforms. So if I write a great Instagram post, I'm putting that into my nurture sequence. I'm going to make that hit as many different boxes. If it's a really good idea, then I'll go make a video of that content I wrote also, or add it into my podcast as another topic. So personally, I'm a writer, and I have taught myself how to also be pretty good on video. And of course, as a speaker too, I had to learn the skill of being a speaker. I wasn't naturally, I would say I wasn't naturally inclined to put myself in the speaking position, but then I've gotten really obsessed with it and pretty good at it, I would say.
That's good. Well, that's all the skills that come from practice. And being a coach, teacher, mentor. Those are all the things. And it kind of has a, I would say, overreaching effect in everything that one does. Is the more you're out talking to people and speaking and doing videos and things like that, the better coach you are.
You get better at it. And the facing of your fears in that way, that's the inner work of being a business owner. Like this kind of business where you're trading in wisdom and guidance, you're showing up and saying, hey, I can help you with something. I can help you with this thing that you've been struggling with. That's bold. And it takes some inner work to be able to just show up in the world and say that. And to say that on a stage is even more. So, it takes a lot of, I think running a business is this kind of business is more about the inner work than anything else. You have to face the fears, look at what's stopping you and move through that to even be allowing yourself to create some things.
Yeah. So what do you think is the number one fear that you see that stops people from, stepping out and creating content and spreading the message about what they do? I mean, people use the, a lot of excuses like I'm an introvert, or whatever, but what is really the fear that does stop people the most common?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different iterations of it, but I think overall, they kind of all fall into the category of fear of being embarrassed or fear of being judged. A lot of people have different brands of imposter syndrome. So, people will find out I don't know enough, or I don't actually have enough set up to run a business, or I'm not official enough yet. I don't have enough credentials. Like there's a lot of different flavors of imposter syndrome out there. And just the regular old fear of what if I fail? What if I do it wrong? What if people see me fail? Usually it all comes down to something like that. So I'll just say anybody out there listening who has some flavor of that, you're not alone. Almost everybody has it in some degree and some different aspect. I actually launched an app this year that has a couple guided meditations and hypnosis recordings. And there's a hypnosis recording in there about imposter syndrome if anybody wants to do a little excavating on that one.
Awesome. We'll include that link in the notes below. So if you're interested in that, just check out the notes below. We've got the link to Molly's app so you can go and listen to it, because I think that would be a really helpful tool for any kind of content creator, because I think that's just a natural thing is, we question ourselves, right? I mean, I don't know a single person that wouldn't say at one time or another, like go, oh my gosh, do I really know all of this stuff? Who am I? Right. I think that's
a healthy response. Actually, I think if you have absolutely no doubts ever at all, you might be sociopathic.
Exactly. Well, let's go on to the next question here. So Molly, I know you create a lot of things from programs, podcasts, to books. You're an artist, right? And you even built a tiny home. You didn't even talk about that. And I'm sure you probably tricked out your van that you live in.
That's the tiny home I built.
Oh, that's the tiny. Okay, the van, awesome. Yeah. I know. I'd love to see pictures of that sometime. So maybe we can do another interview when you're in your van so people can see. Do you do podcasts in there?
Yeah, absolutely.
That'd be awesome. So I have a question that I'm sure people want to know, because we're talking about content creation and stuff. Are there times when you, Molly, take pause and don't create content?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And there's, I think, phases of the creative cycle. I actually have a podcast and a blog post about the creative cycle, but there's 3 phases. And I think this society really doesn't honor the fact that we need to pause. The average job, you get 2 weeks off a year and you're expected to be hustling and grinding the other 50 weeks out of the year. Luckily, as entrepreneurs, we get to make up what those hours are often we make ourselves work more than that. But not necessarily. And I definitely don't anymore, even though starting out, I did work more than a 9 to 5, I think. But the creative cycle has 3 phases, and they're Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva are the names of them. Brahma is like the lightning strike of creativity. You know that Brahma is here when there's so many projects coming in, you have so many ideas, you just can't even seem to work on all of them fast enough because you're so lit up and inspired about what you want to create. Vishnu is sort of plugging along towards the end goal. Like you're not downloading all those ideas anymore, but you still get the vision and you're still moving towards it. That's where we spend most of our time, is like plugging along in Vishnu. And then Shiva comes along. And if you know about Shiva, the god of chaos and destruction, Shiva is the full stop. It is where we don't have any new ideas, where we're not sure what we're creating. We really can't make anything happen. We're like in this full pause. And Shiva is how we get back to Brahma. It is a cycle. So if we don't allow for Shiva, Shiva will come and steal us away. If you've ever gone on vacation and you're like, finally, we're going to go, paddle boarding, we're going to go hiking, and suddenly you get to Hawaii or wherever, and you just get so sick, you need to lay in bed. It's because your body actually needs a pause, and you were about to go Vishnu your way through vacation. And it's like, actually, I need a break. But then you come back from vacation and everything is new again. And you've got that Brahma back. You've got that excitement for your business or your job or your vocation that you hadn't right before you left, still had that life, that juice to it. So the creative cycle is really important. You can build in time for Shiva. So I like to, next week I'm leaving, I'm going off grid for 2 weeks. I won't be working on my business for 2 whole weeks. That's built in. I'm going to be doing things and having fun, but it's like a planned pause from the normal rote of creation that I'm usually functioning in. And if I don't take that, if we don't allow for some pause, then it's when burnout happens. That's when we get so like beyond our capacity and lacking a reset that our body says, hey, you need a reset now, either emotionally or physically. It will stop you. So I absolutely have times for pause, and I build that into my schedule. I actually only do clients and calls and podcasts and stuff 3 days a week, 3 weeks a month, so that I have whole days where I'm either allowed to go travel and be with people or have adventures or go to concerts or, sit down and spend all day ruminating about my next book and what I want to make, or, making tie-dye or whatever kind of art I'm working on at the time.
That's good to do that, because I think like when I got into this, I was my own worst boss. I was worse than any corporate boss. And I've had plenty of those nightmares in my former life, but I could be a pretty mean boss and push myself and to the point of burnout. And I think you're absolutely right. Is like for every creator or coach or whatever you are, you need to have that time every single week. I do the same thing. I only have certain hours I work, and Fridays I don't work. And sometimes that's when my major downloads come. Exactly. And that's the other thing about pausing is like, always have like a piece of paper, because I find that's when the best, most inspired ideas come, or either when I'm off, doing something like I've got my dogs, I walk my dogs, I find, oh my God, sometimes I'll stop and shoot something with my video, with my phone, because inspiration just came to me and I did it. Right. Yeah. And then there's times, for that. But I also think, and I, weigh in on this too, that sometimes we need some energy work to get ourselves when we know we're in avoidance. Yeah. And I have a little story about that, because I work with an energy healer that's like a few times a month. And last week I was in, I think, a stop. But it was like I'd been sick and all this stuff, and I knew I needed to get some stuff done. And I went to that session, the energy healing. We do tapping and auras and things like that. And after that, it was like, I couldn't get off the call fast enough because I wanted to get right back into creation mode. Yeah. So that's probably that circle that you're saying, is when you're in the down part, that then that can feed you right back into.
Yeah. 2 things. So one is procrastination and Shiva are not the same thing. And you know the difference, because Shiva, you can't really do anything. It's
Okay.
like catatonic nothingness on the couch. I'm just chilling.
Yeah.
And procrastination, you're doing things, you're just avoiding the thing you should be doing.
So there you have to
There's
understand
a
that, right?
distinction there. Yeah. But I love that yes, if you're in Shiva or you're at a stop and you're not having new ideas, you're not feeling inspired, you're feeling, maybe kind of depressed or disengaged. Energy work is an amazing way to reset, because that really it's giving you the juice that you would normally get from a full pause. Like you could lay on a couch for a day, or you could get energy healing or body work to encourage your reset. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like, yeah.
I think it's super important. And I don't know if you do that. Do you do that in your work with see, I don't know how to do that. I would love to do that, but that's just not part of my tool chest. I wouldn't know what to do. So I admire people that can do that. And I see and understand and have experienced the value of that.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's what it takes. So that's awesome. Okay. So the next question is, Molly, you seem to bring a lot of ideas to life. So how do you keep track of all your ideas and follow through with all your projects? Because you do a lot of different things. You do, content, art, coaching, travel. I think, weren't you going to some festival or an event where you were organizing? You were saying
I'm the art coordinator for a festival.
Yeah. That's what you're doing next week, right?
Yeah.
So how do you keep track of all these things? Because you've got a wide range, and I know you're in the system, so I'm sure you probably have some specific way of keeping track of everything.
Lots of things. Yeah. I have lots of notebooks, lots of lists in different places. I have a money notebook. I have a consults notebook. I have a bullet journal for organizing projects. I'm big on calendars. I'm big on scheduling tasks, blocking time. But yeah, the most important thing I think is that I'm willing to write down my ideas and explore them. So I journal every morning and every night. The first thing I do in the morning and the last thing I do before I turn the light off is to write. And I'm writing for inner work. I'm dumping ideas. I'm expressing gratitude. I'm like imagining what I'm trying to create, the vision that I want for myself in my future. And then also I'm allowing ideas to get expounded upon. I'm playing with my ideas on a regular basis. I forget, I think his name is William Stafford. I quote this man so much. I should really have his name better memorized. I think it's a William Stafford quote that says, all an idea has to do to be worthy of my attention is occur to me.
Yeah.
I love that. It's like that idea came, great. Have a place to put it down. I use Evernote. I use Trello. I use ClickUp. I use Asana. I use ClickUp with my assistant. I use Trello with my clients. I use Evernote to organize my own ideas and projects. That there are so many softwares that can help you keep organized, but allowing the idea to come out and have a place to go. I've made a promise to myself years ago that if I ever hear myself saying, oh, I'll remember that, it's so obvious. That is my mental trigger to say, write it down right now.
Yeah.
Because the truth is you have this idea and it's like, of course, this beautiful, brilliant download, there's no way I'll forget that. But then your life moves on and 15 minutes later, you can't tap back into it, much less tomorrow or the next day. So have a place where you can put that idea down, and maybe you don't take action on it right now, but at least it lives somewhere. At least you know that it's there and you know where to go find it again if you want to think about it.
Exactly. Because I find some of the best ideas come when you're doing something else. And if you say, I'm going to remember them, it's kind of like when you're meditating, that idea floats in and then floats out, right?
Yeah.
And you
didn't
record it. Yeah. Or if you're out walking around, do a voice memo or, stop whatever you're doing and just put it in there, or paper. I mean, if you looked at my desk right now, I got paper everywhere, and I use Google Docs and things like that, but paper, writing things down. I have one of those Remarkables. I don't know if you've ever used one of those.
And they look awesome.
They are awesome because it's writing. It's like everything. I used to have a zillion notebooks
Yeah.
Now I've got a zillion notebooks in my Remarkable. So I highly recommend that, especially, but for people that are traveling around and need something, you don't want to carry all this, extra stuff with you for that idea. But writing, I hope it never goes away. I mean, like writing, not typing. Two different things.
Yeah, you're using your body in a different way. It's different. It's that right brain connection.
Right. And so many people don't use that. And that's really where the creativity comes from, correct?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Embodiment.
So finally, not finally, but what advice, Molly, do you have for someone who's thinking about creating content and launching their first program or course? What do you think, like, what do people need to do to be, or to know, or to be ready to do that, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that want to create courses and programs and, share their expertise. So
yeah,
what is your advice?
Things. I've launched dozens of courses and programs, and I've helped dozens more come to life with my clients. There's first off, it's not as complicated as you think. And yet there are a lot of pieces of the puzzle. So if you feel like you want to create a course, you want to create a program, you want to launch a workshop or create some funnel sequence that leads people to your business more, get support. If you're hesitating, if you're stalling on that, find someone to hold your hand, find somebody you vibe with who is doing the thing that you want to do, and get support, ask for help. And the pieces of the puzzle, while required, the main thing to keep in mind is you just need to tell people enough about your point of view that they can know whether it's for them or not. I actually just this week had a podcast episode go out with the amazing Tad Hargrave, who's the leader of marketing for hippies. And he teaches something called point of view marketing. And the point of view marketing is you're sharing enough about how you view the world, how you view the problem you solve, how you view the solution and the hope for that solution, that somebody can say, you know what, I'm on board with how you see this. The way you see this resonates with me. And you're going to help me maybe take that journey or take a few steps on that journey, then I'm in. And then the next step of that is, how do they get in? And that's something I really love helping people figure out, is how easy is it for somebody, once they're like, you know what, I vibe with that. I agree with you. I see your point of view and I want to know more. How easy is it for them to say yes and buy that thing or register for that thing or join you for that thing? The easier it is, the more people will do it. The clearer it is what your point of view on this is, the more people that vibe with you, the ideal soulmate clients, as I call them, are going to find their way in. But they have to know where to click. They have to know what it costs. They have to know how to receive it. And they have to ideally be as immediately welcomed in as possible. So as soon as somebody pays you, they should immediately get high five and celebrated in some way on the thank you page in the welcome email. Setting those little components up so it's easy for them to say yes, easy for them to buy it, easy for them to get welcomed. Those are really the three most important things to have set up. And you don't have to build out your entire program before you sell it. I'm a really big advocate for pre-selling your program. Get those main three things set up, how they learn about it, how they say yes to it, how they get welcome to it, and then give yourself a few weeks or a month before the course actually begins so that you can flesh out that first module and then flesh out the next module. You don't have to build out all that content before someone buys it, and you don't want to, because two reasons. One, if you go to all that trouble and then it doesn't sell, it's heartbreaking.
Oh, yeah.
And that will take you out of the game for a little while. And I've done that many times before I started actually selling programs. I built a bunch of courses all the way out that didn't sell, and it was heartbreaking.
Yeah.
And you don't need that. You don't need that recovery time into your life. And the other reason is, once you sell it, you're suddenly already paid to make that stuff happen. There's this fire under your butt. If somebody is here to receive that on this date, now there's a real deadline that isn't just made up by you because you promised it to someone and they're expecting to receive it. So it creates this steamroll energy of, I'm making this happen now.
Yeah.
They've already shown up to receive it. And it's a different energy to create it than, I'll make that video eventually. And, another 3 months has passed. Oh, someday I'll get to that. It changes the timeline.
Yeah, exactly. I agree with that. And, the whole thing is people forget, as that you were talking about, that whole welcoming, onboarding, that's like their first impression of you, once they say yes. And that goes a long way.
Yeah.
Right.
It's important. We want people to get an immediate acknowledgement and that dopamine or dopamine, I think, hit of, I did this thing and yay, it's a good choice. I'm being high-fived from the get-go. Yeah.
Right. And the thing is, what I know from experience from course creation and doing it for other people as well, you got to make it as simple as possible.
Yeah.
Like few steps as possible, quick wins, because that will also get, like our energy that we get from selling something, but then whoever's in your course, they need to get wins and things like that, because that will keep people moving all the way through and completing your course.
Yeah.
That's one of the biggest things I see is like people buy courses and then don't finish.
Yeah. Celebrating them, making them feel acknowledged, even those little like ka-ching signs when something goes through, like all of that is designed to help the brain say, oh, I feel good here. I want to spend more time here feeling good.
Yeah, that's awesome.
You want to make them like winners.
Yeah. So what else? What other kinds of pieces? Any more pieces of advice for, content creators, course creators? Really, I guess the thing is what I'd like to hear is really like, why do you feel that, it's so important to be a content creator?
I mean, not everybody has to be. But if you're trying to share a message and bring people into your world, creating content so they know about you, they know your point of view, they know how to find their way in, it is so much easier to run a business if you do that stuff. It's just the way that people can find you, and it's the way that you educate them about exactly who you serve and how you help them. So I wouldn't say it's required, but I would say it makes it a hell of a lot easier to find your people and hire you. Yeah.
Exactly. I think if I didn't create content, for myself and for my clients, it's very hard to have a business these days if you're not on some platform with your content.
Yeah. Yeah. So my recommendation is, if you're having any kind of struggle getting that up and running, getting that system in place, getting that creativity, into a productive output, to get support. Support and accountability are the two things that will help you run your business. Support can look like a virtual assistant. It can look like a business besties crew that you meet with. It can look like an actual mentor or coach, but find some kind of support that actually facilitates you following through. And that goes with accountability as well. Create some kind of accountability system or framework. When I was working on my last book, I had a friend who was also working on a book, and I was like, we're meeting. Let's meet once a week. We're spending 2 hours a week, you and me, not talking on Zoom, writing our books individually, but together, because if I don't show up with you for this, then it's harder for me to show up for it. So you can design accountability for yourself.
Exactly.
And sometimes accountability is like that pre-selling of, hey, I sold this course and now I'm being held accountable to finish it. You create that accountability system for yourself so that it's easier to follow through with that productivity. But accountability and support, don't be afraid to invest in yourself. Don't be afraid to find the right mentor for you, and be willing to show up for that stuff, because that's the difference between doing it as a hobby and doing it as an actual vocation. And that's the difference between quitting or thriving in many cases.
Exactly. I mean, how are people going to find you if you're the best kept secret?
Yeah. It's actually fun to be the best kept secret.
It's not. And that's, there's so many people, so many coaches, healers that have amazing talent that people, don't know about.
Yeah.
So, find a mentor. I use all three of those tactics that you talked about. I have a mentor. I have a community. I have a coworker person that I've known. I met her online. I think we've known each other 6 years. And we finally, I think after 3 years of co-working, we finally met in person. But those are like people that support you and you can support, and that's how you get things done. And sometimes when you get into those, I notice like your 2-week, or 2-hour session, and I do those inside my program, there's an energy that happens.
Yeah. It's a creative, like consciousness collective that keeps us, that generates. Yeah.
People get amazed when they come to my focus work sessions and we're doing a Pomodoro, where you do 25 minutes. People are like, oh my God, I did not know. I thought it would be distracting. I thought, I wouldn't get things done. I thought I'd be paralyzed, but there's something about finding that container of support.
Yeah.
That gets the creative juices flowing, right?
It's absolutely true. Yeah. I have a copywriting cohort membership where people come to write twice a month too. And
I love that.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yes. Yeah. One thing that's just popping to just say, and I don't know who out there needs to hear it, maybe all of us, but don't let the fear of judgment stop you. That people are going to judge you no matter what. That's just how people are designed. And if they're going to judge you anyway, you might as well be doing something amazing that you feel passionate about.
And there's somebody out there who needs what you have.
Yeah.
There's somebody out there. It's like you're saying, just create things and be from your point of view. You might be doing the same thing, like we both do the same thing, but we have different points of view, different ways of doing things, which differentiates us. There's somebody that's going to say Molly's my person, and then there's somebody who's going to say Kristen's my person. But there's plenty to go around. And like I said, how do you touch people and make a difference for people if you're not speaking your own truth?
Yeah.
So I know that people listening in are going to want to know more about you, Molly. So why don't you take this opportunity to tell people where they can go to learn more about you, anything that you want to offer up. And I will make sure that all the links to everything that you mentioned will be down in the notes for anybody listening or watching our interview today.
Yeah. So thank you for that. And my website is wildheartsriseup.com. And there's all kinds of things on there. I have 2 podcasts, one for business and mindset work. One is about consciousness and playing the game of life. Those 2 podcasts are called Tactical Magic and Reveal the Game of Life. The most fun thing you could go interact with on my website is finding the link to my app, which I just launched this year. There's resources in there from content creation to business strategy to money mindset to energy magic. So there's a lot of really amazing free content that's available in the app. It's free for the first month. And yeah, if you're out there and, like Kristen just said, I really vibe with Kristen, or I really vibe with Molly. If you are ready to actually get support, you're ready to actually invest in a coach or mentor. I don't usually open up free consults just to the masses like this, but if you're ready to actually invest in having a mentor or a guide, I would love to talk to you, and you can book a call with me at wildheartsriseup.com/strategy.
Okay. I'll make sure that link is down below as well. So thank you, Molly. It's been awesome chatting with you.
You've been listening to the Profitable Content Creator Podcast, where content creators go to learn how to take their content creation to the next level. If you love the Profitable Content Creator Podcast, we'd love for you to subscribe, rate, and give us a review on iTunes. Until next time.